I want to say right at the start of the video that this is a more expensive variant. You'll see 3 copies of the hand traps and some ultra rare and super rare cards. There is some budget decks on this list, and if you want to see budget version of this deck specifically, leave it in the comments below. I'll be sure to reply. Pretty much the Pendulum deck got hit a little bit. By hit I mean that they limited Wisdom Sorcerer and Skullbat Joker to 1. So it hurts the consistency a little bit, but even though the deck is a little bit less consistent, it's still very powerful and it has very good push plays. What I mean by that is, you essentially still have your main Pendulum core, which is the Magician engine, along with 3 of the trap, which is really good removal, and then you have 3 searchers for the Pendulum and then 3 Pendulum call. The deck is really good, and even though you don't have links like Electromite, you can still run it extremely well, simply because you have very powerful cards in your extra deck, like Baron de Fleur, and along with like Synchro 8 package. And yeah, you can still make rank 4s, and the rank 4s that you can make aren't bad at all. Like Supreme King essentially like wins the game. Easy to go into Zeus. I think it's a very solid deck. Should you run it? Yeah, probably. It's very good, it's super cheap, and if you want to know a more budget version, I could show you a more budget version. But we're gonna get on to the next deck list on this list. Personally, I really love dragons, so I'm like, well, why not make like a Dragon Dark deck? That's essentially what I did. We're running the Red Rose engine. We're putting the Adventure engine because Adventure engine's just good and it generates token. And I mean, if you have it, you probably should be running it because it's still really powerful in this event. And yeah, we're just running like typical Rocket and Chamber Dragon Maid engine. Essentially what this allows us to do is to easily go into Synchro 7, Synchro 8s, and rank 4s. So the ones in the extra deck that are shown here, they're okay. They're what I have available. If you have other things, dude, feel free to change whatever you want, simply because this is going to be your deck. And the cards listed here are not super important. What's most important is like what you do with the deck and what cards you have available at your disposal. I'm running some additional cards in the Adventure engine, such as a trap, along with the level 4 monster, just because it allows me to spam out more things. You don't need to run these. I'm just running it because I wanted to try it out in this event, since I feel like it'd be a lot slower without the incorporation of links. Now we're moving on to more of the free-to-play stuff. By that I mean the Geargia. I've used this deck for the rare normal event, and it works here in the XYZ Synchro event. The basis premise is that you bring out Anchor Drill along with any other level 4 machine, and you easily can go into this guy, Qliphort. He is insane. He is a rare, super low rarity. This guy can like bring out a bunch of cards from your extra deck. One of them that you can probably bring out that I don't own but you might own is called number 38, Hope Harbinger. I mean, it can negate a spell, and having negates is pretty good on your board. I'm going to be clicking over each of the cards. If you want to know which cards exactly on the list, just pause the video at any time. Pretty much, the deck is really good. It's really cheap. I really enjoy it. Sometimes people just leave as soon as they see it because they know it's like a Qliphort turbo deck. Next one is very similar to the last deck, Geargia. This is Gadget. It's cheap as well. All of them are like normal, so you can easily make this. The main deck is kind of the same. I just cut down on Geargias and replaced them with Gadgets. And Gadgets are cool because when you're normal, you can just search another one, so you always keep up that advantage. And the basic premise is the exact same as the other one. Just bring out Qliphort or any rank 4 that you have, and you just try to out advantage your opponent. And you have very powerful cards like Crusher Run, where if one of your Earth machines dies, you can just pop a card on the field. Very good. It's continuous. It stays up. But let's move on to the next text list. Now, this is one I'm actually excited to talk about. It's Qliphort, simply because I like Qliphort. I think it's really cool in this event since there's no links at all. We have this big boss monster called Qliphort Towers. This guy is a house, unaffected by spell or traps, unaffected by monster with a lower level. That means only Synchro 10 and above can hurt this dude. Like, he is hard to get rid of. Yeah, I will admit that Swordsoul is in the meta and it's probably the best deck for this event. But if your opponent's not playing Swordsoul, they're going to have a hard time getting over this guy. Very cool card. The deck is fairly free to play. We're running cards like Underdog, which can negate our monsters because we can normal summon them normally, but they lose attack, and by negating their effects, they pretty much get their attack boost all the way back to normal levels. Along with Crusher Run, just because it's a very good card. Sadly, we do not have Scout, which can allow us to search more cards, but still fine. The deck still functions without Scout. Scout is probably the best one, but even without Scout, you still have other good cards. Like Sacrifice, insane card. Towers. In this event, dude, if you bring this out, you're probably winning the game on, like, your opponent's not going to be able to get rid of it. Let's be honest. It's such a threat. The deck's fairly free to play. Yeah, I do have 3 copies of Qliphort Disc. You don't need to run this. You can do your own things. Essentially, if you just remove disc, you're running essentially just normal and rares. And I mean, I did craft 1 towers, but that's about it. As I mentioned in the beginning of the video, if there's any of these cards that you don't own, if they're too high rarity, just let me know in the comments. I'll be sure to give you other cards that you can put into your deck. Let's move on to the next one. And finally, we come on to the last deck on this list. It is Swordsoul Tenyi. The only thing with the Tenyi engine is that you're not able to easily go into the Link 1, which gets your play started. But that doesn't mean that Tenyis are bad. In fact, they're very, very supported in this exact deck because you can send them directly to the graveyard using their own spell card. And I mean, they just help the deck so much with granting consistency, giving you tuners, giving you bodies. You can easily go into a synchro with them. Very, very powerful engine. And of course, the point of the deck is very simple. You want to bring out your Swordsoul guys, which gets you a token. You go into your big synchro boss monsters. And one gripe with the deck is that the extra deck is very expensive. You want to try to have a synchro 10 or a synchro 8 that's good. It's going to be super ultra rare. There's no other way around it. It's going to be super ultra rare. So if you're not really wanting to spend a lot on this deck, or if you don't have every single card that's listed here in the extra deck, legit, don't worry, dude. Just play what you have. And if you think you can make better choices in the deck, go ahead, man. And if you want to like give tips to people in the comments, also go ahead. I highly recommend that. I hope this video helps, and I'll catch you later. Have fun in the event. See ya. Hey, if you enjoyed this video, feel free to subscribe. You can check out all the new content I'm going to be making. But besides that, hope you have a great day. See ya.
Nice.